Hello and welcome to Froch on Fighting. My name is Carl Froch, the former unified super middleweight world boxing champion and International Boxing Hall of Famer. This episode is brought to you by Cobra Casino.
What day is it?
What day is it?
What day is it?
It's Froch on Fighting Day.
No.
Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, you soft lot. Hope you have a nice day. And if nobody loves you, I'm sure somebody does. I'm inundated with cards. I've had all these cards. I've had to intercept the post, man.
Get lost.
To intercept the post and say, listen, just slip them in the bin for me. But thank you to everyone who bothered.
You're a bit soppy, aren't you?
Soppy, me?
You're soppy to me.
Oh, I get it right. All right, leave it here. We don't want to share the intimacy with the fans.
I'm
Do you want to go into
the
it?
flowers. Shut
Oh, the
up.
flowers, yeah.
The flowers.
Spent a few quid on some flowers. 12 red roses with some, what are they in the middle? Little cubic zirconia. Look pretty, don't they? Anyway, let's move on. Right, so let's start the show with Oleksandr Usyk, who has planned out his retirement sort of, he's given us his ideas, hasn't he, for retirement, and he's saying basically he wants 2 more fights before hanging up the gloves. I wouldn't have been surprised if he'd have retired from boxing after the Fury rematch, because he's completed the game, like I've said before. Cruiserweight, former undisputed cruiserweight champ, steps up to heavyweight, beat AJ twice, he's now beat Tyson Fury twice, he's got a win over Daniel Dubois, the current RBF champ, who's fighting Joseph Parker next weekend, looking forward to that one. And that's one of the fights he wants to potentially go back in with. His first fight of the 2 that he's talked about will be Daniel Dubois. So he's going to fight, look, this is provided Daniel Dubois beats Parker, of course, which isn't a give me, but we'll do a pre-fight build-up to Dubois Parker before the fight. But let's just say Dubois does the business against Parker. The Usyk fight's it's a good fight, isn't it? Usyk Dubois rematch. Dubois had Usyk down with that low blow, stroke, body shot. He hurt him, he put him over. Listen, if it was in the gonads, then it was painful. It was a heavy shot. But bottom line is, Dubois showed that he can punch hard and he can hurt Usyk. Usyk climbed off the floor and then done him with a stiff jab. Then a big stiff straight lead right hand sort of, it was a jab stroke power shot on it, but a couple of rounds later. But bottom line, Usyk got the job done like he always does. But Dubois has grown from that. He's had a couple of good wins. He's battered AJ and he's IBF champ. If he comes through Parker, he's had even more experience. So the fight with Usyk then, because Usyk's obviously getting older, Dubois is 26, 27 years old. So it's an interesting fight. But after the Dubois fight, if indeed that does happen, if he comes through the Parker match, he's talking about fighting Alex Pereira. He's got to be he is the biggest name in the UFC. Alex Pereira. Not as tall, no, he's slightly taller than Usyk. What is he, 6'4", 6'5", so he's taller, rangier. That won't be a problem for Usyk because obviously he's beat, what's Tyson Fury, whichever day it is, he's either 6'7" or 6'9", isn't he, Tyson? But he's tall and rangy, and Usyk dealt with him twice. So I don't think the height would be a problem. My problem with Alex Pereira is the fact that he's not a professional boxer. And he said he wants to, it was a surprise, he said he wants to fight Pereira next in a show fight. So when he says show fight, I'm assuming it's a boxing match. I'll go back to what I always say. If a boxer takes on a MMA fighter in the cage, then the cage fighter is going to win. The guy that's got the kicks and the grappling skills and the UFC rules is going to win in a UFC contest. So Pereira would take Usyk apart. In my opinion, Usyk would have a chance if they stood upright and went in that Sean Strickland style, just standing on your feet, throwing punches. But bottom line is, as soon as Pereira starts kicking and gets close to Usyk and takes him to the ground, it's fight over. It's a mismatch. That's just my opinion. I just think there's just no chance because it's a different sport. It's a different skill set. But again, flip that the other way. In a boxing ring, a cage fight, we've seen time and time again. I know Ngannou did all right against Tyson, but then AJ wiped him out. We've seen Conor McGregor against Floyd Mayweather just get served up. It was easy for Mayweather. He even played around, didn't he? So whichever discipline you're in, you're going to win this fight. So I'm assuming that Usyk's talking about fighting Pereira in the boxing ring. Maybe Turki Al-Sheikh would put that on. He's put on the Ngannou fight a couple of times with Fury and AJ. He'll show these fights. He don't like the YouTube stuff, does he? I think he don't like Jake Paul, does he? Like most of us in the boxing world. But I think he'd put on Usyk Pereira. But I don't know. I just think Pereira wouldn't have a chance. I've recently watched, it was last night, I watched Alex Pereira sparring on YouTube. And he's okay. He's a little bit upright, chin's in the air a bit, but he's a bit bolt rigid and no head movement and quite basic. Usyk's dealt with the best in the world. So Usyk against Pereira in a boxing match, based on what I've seen of Pereira, and don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic UFC fighter. He's an absolute machine. What a guy. Just got nothing but praise for him in his discipline. He's a brilliant fighter, and like I said, one of the biggest names now in UFC. But yeah, Oleksandr Usyk against Pereira in a boxing ring. For me, it's a mismatch. It's not really something I'd want to see. If Usyk fights Dubois and does the business, then you're hanging your gloves up for me, because you've achieved everything, and you've then give Daniel Dubois a chance to redeem himself after that low blow stroke body shot and answered all the questions. And you're fighting a guy who's a lot younger than you, who's got more experience now. So it's a brave move from Usyk that you don't really need to do. He's got nothing to prove. The Pereira fight for me, as exciting as it might sound, thinking about it, it's actually a non-fight and probably nothing. I wouldn't really want to see that. I'd probably like to see that in the cage if I'm honest, but that's just the fighter in me saying, how good would one of the best in the boxing world, best in the business to do it, how good would he do against somebody who, like Alex Pereira, who's a top UFC fighter? But the answer to that question would probably be not very good. Alex Pereira would probably absolutely wipe him out. But anyway, that's Oleksandr Usyk's plans for the future. 2 fight plans. I think we'll at least get one of them out of him. We'll get the Daniel Dubois fight, provided he comes through Joseph Parker. And it's something to definitely look forward to. Let me know in the comments below what you think he'd do against somebody like Alex Pereira. And if you think he should fight again, and if he does, and he fights Daniel Dubois, how do you think he'll get on? And I can't close on that without mentioning Joseph Parker, because Joseph Parker is a good talent. He's got bags of experience, and he's got a chance. He could pull off the upset, and it would be an upset if he beat Daniel Dubois, because Daniel Dubois is IBF champ, and he's on the business against AJ. But let's just say Parker does outbox, outmaneuver Dubois, doesn't get caught on the chin, keeps out of the way and wins on points, because that's the only way I think he can win. If he was to jump in with Usyk, I'm sorry Parker, but I don't think he's got a chance against Usyk. I just think what Usyk's achieved as an amateur, as a cruiserweight, and now as a heavyweight, unless he had an absolute stinker of a night, I just think because Parker's not a massive puncher, Usyk will be able to cope with his power, get in and out of range, manoeuvre him around, and just outwork him, outpunch him, and I just think he probably stops him. He puts the pressure on and gets the stoppage. I'm not saying Parker hasn't got a chance, because he has, but for me, Oleksandr Usyk is that good that I just think that he beats all of them. He's already proven that he beats all of them. Parker's in the fight. Parker's come in. He'll be coming confident if he beats Dubois, and he's got, like I said, he's got bags of experience. He's been in with the top fighters over the years, but he's lost Annie at the top level. He's had a bit of a resurgence with Zhilei Zhang and Deontay Wilder, but Deontay Wilder was finished. Listen, I don't want to rip into Joseph Parker, because he's having a great finish towards the end of his career. He's only 33 years old as well. He's not an old man yet. He's not past his best. He's still kind of in his prime. But if he does beat Daniel Dubois, I still don't think he's got enough in the toolbox to get in there and be successful against somebody like Oleksandr Usyk. So next I want to talk about the much anticipated rematch between Liam Cameron and Ben Whittaker. This is a fight that I've really been looking forward to, because I wasn't sure if it was going to happen. I spoke to Ben Whittaker following his defeat. Well, it wasn't a defeat, was it? It was a draw, but it looked like he was under the cosh. Let's not even talk about win, loss, defeat, whatever. These two boxed in the first fight, and Ben Whittaker was doing his usual thing in the first round. I think it went 5 rounds. They ended up going over the top rope, as everybody watching this probably already knows. But a quick recap. Round 1, Ben Whittaker came out, did his skills, did his moves, didn't showboat as much as he usually does, but he was getting his range. He looked good. And then round 2 just started to come undone a little bit, because Liam Cameron was toughing it out and staying with him and answering back and getting close to him. So Ben Whittaker was looking good, throwing his skills and his fast hands and doing his movements and all that, but he started to get close, Liam Cameron did. Then by round 3, Cameron was up closer than he needed to be for Whittaker's point of view, landing body shots, counting back with headshots, and he was getting rough in there. And it was the first time I've seen Ben Whittaker really under the cosh, where I'm thinking, oh, hang on a minute, this is going to tell us something about Ben Whittaker, tell us about his heart and his desire, and whether or not he's got the toughness, and whether he's got that ability and that mindset to go into the world rankings and step up for a world title and give a performance like a Jean Pascal or a Jermaine Taylor or a Mikkel Kessler. I mean, don't want to just talk about myself, but these are the learning fights that you have to go through before you get to that top world-class level. And he didn't answer the questions, did he? The problem was, round 4, round 5, it was getting tougher and tougher for him. And then was it a tragedy? Was it an accident? Was it convenient? We don't know. He went over the top rope and he banged his ankle on the steps on the side of the ring, and he stayed on the ground. So a lot of people are saying he quit. A lot of people are saying Ben Whittaker, it's out of order, he quit, he bottled it. But like I said on the night, only he knows if he quit. It looked like it was coming on top for him. He had the opportunity to at least get on his feet and try and walk it off. I mean, we saw David Haye, didn't we, with one foot hanging off, fighting against Tony Bellew twice. One fucking foot stayed in there, swinging away. I've been injured, I've broke my hand, I've had a jaw break, I've had perforated eardrums, ribs, all sorts. You stay in there. So, like I said to Ben when I interviewed him, listen, did you quit? He said, no. I said, right, what was the injury? He said, it was my ankle. My ankle was broke, and I've got the scan. I've got the receipts. So I'm like, right, now where do I go? Right, are you going to give Ben Whittaker the rematch? Sorry, are you going to give Liam Cameron the rematch? And he went, yeah, I'll give him a rematch. So I'm like, well, I can't really go anywhere here now, apart from starting an argument and having an altercation with the guy, but he's telling me his truth. I've got to take him on face value. But let's cut him some slack. Ben Whittaker is fighting Liam Cameron again. Fair play to him. He's getting in there and he's going to show everybody and hopefully try and put right what he considers to be a wrong. But he's under all the pressure. So the first fight, over the top rope, banged his ankle, stayed on the ground, left in a wheelchair. Everybody booing, everybody saying he shit himself, and Liam Cameron was going to do the business, come on top and get Ben Whittaker out of there. The problem with Ben Whittaker is he's got this style, and I love the style. It's a showman. It's a bit Prince Nassim Hamid-esque, and even more sort of flamboyant and more showboaty than Nas, if you believe it or not. And when you see somebody showing off and being sort of nonchalant in the ring and throwing all these strange shots from strange angles, even the referee pulls him sometimes and says, listen, that's a backhand, that's an illegal blow. He's kind of all over the place, but he's very, very talented, very skillful, very fast. What he does lack is a little bit of power up at that weight, up at light heavyweight. He does lack a bit of power, but he always gets the job done. Well, he did until he met Liam Cameron. So he's putting himself back in the lion's den. He's going to try and shut everybody up, prove everybody wrong, all the haters that are saying he quit, and he's giving him a rematch. Now, at the press conference a couple of days ago, they had to be separated. They came face to face. They was talking to each other. There was no pushing and pulling, little back and forth, Cobra style. None of that was going off, but it was very verbal, and it was in each other's face. There's a lot of pressure on here for Ben Whittaker. Obviously, Liam Cameron, he's confident. He knows what happened in the first fight. He could feel himself getting to Ben. He could feel him breaking him down. So he's going to come into this fight now with more training in the bank and more confident. Ben Whittaker now has got a lot to prove and he's under a lot of pressure. So like I said, fair play to him for taking the fight. But listen, it's interesting. It's juicy. I'm looking forward to it. And we will find out if Ben Whittaker has actually got the tools that he needs. We know he's got the skills. He's got the Olympic silver medal. We know he's got the top amateur experience and he's looked good in every pro fight. But problem with amateur and pro, the distance, the range of the fight, 12 3-minute rounds world championship fights. You might have the skills, but you don't find out if you've got it up there and more importantly, in there. Have you got the heart to succeed at this business at the top level in them championship rounds 8 through to 12 and 9 through to 12. The last 4 rounds, when you really have to dig deep and you get asked these deep, dark questions, how much do I want it? We'll find out if Ben Whittaker comes through this fight with Liam Cameron. I'm sure Liam Cameron will come, stick it on him, make it hard for him. And if Ben Whittaker comes through it, we're going to have to just throw our hands up and say, listen, fair play to you. Listen, I ain't got a favourite in this fight. I want the best man to win. I like Liam Cameron. He seems to be the fans' favourite. Ben Whittaker has turned the fans against him because of his showboaty style, because of the way that first fight ended. People are a bit pissed off of him, calling him a quitter. But what I say is, give the man a chance. He's giving Liam Cameron the rematch. Let's have a look what happens. But people are backing Liam Cameron for this. He's probably more of a likeable type character. He seems to be more down to earth. More people from the street can relate to Liam Cameron, so they're probably backing him. And Ben Whittaker is the complete opposite. Doesn't seem to have a lot of fans, does he? He said probably a few bad things over the past in terms of goading his opponent, but listen, I find him a really nice kid. He's an Olympic silver medalist, come through the system, if you like. He's amateur champion and he won a medal for his country in the Olympics, so he's very, very skillful. So for me, he's under the most pressure because he's expected to do big things in this game. Liam Cameron is expected to just turn up and get beat in that first fight with Whittaker. But now it's all on. They're both fighting now for the future, and I think it's going to be a great fight, one to not miss. So that's about it for another episode of Froch on Fighting. That's my thoughts on what Oleksandr Usyk will be doing next, and then the Ben Whittaker, Liam Cameron saga. Looking forward to that one. I just want to finish on hopefully not too much of a sad note, because I'm hoping that Joe Gallagher can pull through. He's got cancer, he's announced it, and he's fighting it. This is a guy that's been, his service to boxing has been unbelievable. He's been around for absolute years. Scott Quigg, Matthew Macklin, Anthony Crolla, Tasha Jonas, just to name a few. He was involved with Ricky Hatton as well back in the day. He's from Manchester, and he was helping out with that team. And this is a guy, Joe Gallagher, who's not only a friend of the show, he's a personal friend of mine. He used to be in the corner when I was doing a lot of sparring with Callum Smith, actually. I remember when I was sparring amateur Callum Smith, and then when he turned pro under Joe Gallagher, all of a sudden Smith's throwing the counter left hook and he's sitting down and he's punches with the right hand, and I thought, bloody hell, he's punching a little bit harder now, now he's a pro. But Joe Gallagher was always in the other corner. He's always given me good advice, and he's a real friend of professional boxing and a proper top bloke as well, a real guy, you know, one of the real ones. So my heart goes out to him. I hope he gets himself better. He's on the road to recovery, so all the very best to Joe Gallagher. Get some nice good luck messages to him, and get the spirits high. Come on, Joe, you can do this. It's his biggest fight of his life. Let's get it won.